Hello, welcome back to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. This is Season 2, Episode 7 review of The Boys. I've had a lot of people jump on, so I made a video basically saying, has it gone woke? Or will it be woke? Or something along those lines. I can't remember what it was titled, but I had a lot of people jump on there and say, look, retroactively, I'm from the future, you were wrong. Because I'd said in that video, because I did that before The Boys had released, and I said like it was satire, and it pokes fun at left and right. So I'd done that video, and I stood by that under the premise that Season 2 hadn't been released, right? And Season 1 was pretty good at keeping a good balance. Now, progressively through Season 2, the balance has definitely shifted. They've kept it here and there, because, they've ripped on the Gillette advert, for instance. They've ripped on the Me Too movement. They've ripped on disability representation and tokenization. Like all of these things, right? They've ripped on. But the balance is definitely shifting now. And I'm not ignorant to that fact. Like, absolutely. So this episode, it's either because of the showrunners, right? Which a lot of people will say that, yeah, they are absolutely of that sort of agenda mindset and things like that, which, yeah, it might be the case. I've watched a few interviews with them, and I could probably agree that might be the case. But it can also be due to the subject matter that they're looking to explore. So, like white nationalism and Nazism, or Nazism, and, basically all of that kind of stuff. But whatever your justification for the balance shifting is, I definitely acknowledge that the balance has unequivocally shifted. And it's a shame. It's a shame. I still enjoy it, but the opening to this episode was quite on the nose. Painfully so, in fact, actually. And the problem is that this is supposed to be comedy. And that opening felt quite preachy. I'll get to it in a second. Like, we'll talk spoilers. We'll go like full spoilers in a minute. But that opening was quite preachy. And then, just from like an objective reviewing standpoint, there were some elements to this episode that just didn't make any sense. So, and again, I'll get to that in a second, but there were some plot holes there with respect to Stormfront. In the last episode, it was revealed that Stormfront basically knows everything. She is the all-seeing eye of Vought. So much so that she's helping run a lab, right? That Sage lab. Was it Sage? I think Sage. Whatever. But anyway, she's running this lab. So she knows, right? She knows stuff. And in this episode, it's almost like they had a brain hemorrhage and they didn't remember what they did in the previous episode. So that was a bit annoying. It's created some plot holes to me, which hopefully they can change up in the next episode by adjusting some things. Now, we also had revealed Black Noir under the mask, which, again, no spoilers, but I will say they've screwed his comic origin. So, it's no spoilers, because if you know the comics, then that's all the spoilers, isn't there? But they've screwed his comic origin, which is a shame, and yeah, I'm going to do a separate video on that, and a separate video on some of these other things that I'm kind of talking about, just because. But yeah, shame, really. I feel that the balance has shifted, and it would be different if it was framed more satirically. If it was framed more humorously, I think it would be more palatable. But because it's not framed in a humorous fashion, which everything else has been, right? Like, even when, like, for instance, right? Even when Homelander blew up that plane, right? It was framed in a humorous-ish fashion. There was some comedy in there, It was terrifying, but there was still some comedy in there. And then the aftermath, there was some comedy in there. So everything around that issue, which is quite a touchy subject, I guess, whatever it is, whatever that subject is. But basically, it's a touchy subject. There was some humour, and that opening, there was no humour. It was quite harrowing, actually. And that's when it crosses over from satire into it being very, very preachy. And that's when you know that they're looking to actually push that agenda. You know? Like, it would be different if, say, the Gillette advert that they ripped on, for instance, they went hard on it and they removed all of the humour from it and they just shredded it apart. You know? I'm sure a lot of people would have been up in arms then. That's the difference. You know? That's when you know it's satire and intended as humour or not. So yeah, it was a bit of a shame. But anyway, don't know really how to review this in a non-spoiler fashion. We're just going to have to get into spoilers now, I guess. So you've been warned? Full spoilers? Full spoilers. So, the opening. So it went through this montage of what I guess would be considered like a stereotypical neckbeard. A stereotypical neckbeard, waking up, going through... And I don't mean like a neckbeard. I'm not trying to be derogatory, right? Like, that's not what I'm trying to say. But, you know, this is how Kripke, the showrunner, views typical people, just normal, average Joes, right? Like, I'd be considered a neckbeard sometimes, right? Just normal, average people, just going about their business. So I'm not meaning it derogatory. So I'm really sorry if it comes across that way. I'm just using the terms that these fucking plebs would be using. So it's just a normal average Joe waking up, going about his life, right? And it is, you know, there's mundane nature to it. You're just trudging through your life, just trudging, just drudgery, you know, waking up, listening to a podcast, listening to the news, seeing his mother, saying goodbye to his mother, going down the local convenience store, going to work, wash, repeat, you know, just that constant cycle of monotony that everyone goes through, except for Kripke, funnily enough, the showrunners, the actors, the people that preach to you. And it starts... You start to get an Alex Jones parody coming on, talking about supervillains, talking about super terrorists, all these things, right? And then you get Stormfront. Again, he's listening to a podcast. Stormfront, she's on the news. He's got a poster of her. He's got a Funko Pop of her. And it's this constant thing. Repeat, wash, repeat. And then obviously the guy at the local convenience store is ethnically different, right? And he sees a flash of light in his eye one day, which I'm pretty sure was from outside. And he questions whether it's a supervillain or not. And then obviously the worst happens. You know, he gets a gun and he shoots him in the head, shoots him in the face, which is harrowing. Like, there was nothing humorous about it. It was awful, horrible to watch. Didn't enjoy that at all. Not good. And I don't think anyone would have watched that and gone, yeah, great, ha 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 ha. You know, everyone would have watched that and gone, no, I disagree with this entirely. Which actually goes to show how something like that isn't necessary, if that makes sense. You know, that's not necessary to have that there in that tone. There's just no point, because no one agrees with that behaviour. No one thinks that behaviour is good, funnily enough. So anyway, so that was that. And then not an awful lot else happened in this episode, right? There was the movement of people going to this Senate hearing, which I felt like was maybe a riff on Batman vs Superman a little bit, where the whole bomb exploded and things. Basically, more heads exploded. And I don't know whether that was... It's clearly a superpower. Someone's doing that with superpowers, I think, now. Because it's not like there's things in these individuals' heads anyway. So basically, a bunch of heads exploded, a bunch of people died. No more witnesses. But I also think to myself, well, you've painted yourself into a corner now, Vought, because at a Senate hearing, people's heads are exploding who are going to testify against you. Surely that's evidence to be used against you, is it not? I don't know how Senate hearings work, but that would seem to me that that's some evidence to be used against Vought, one would say, because it's exclusively Vought people that died. People against Vought, sorry. So that was a bit odd. Black Noir's mask is revealed. and it's a black guy. Now, that was good actually, I thought, because it is actually the actor that plays Black Noir who was revealed underneath the mask. Because if they'd swapped it out, would have been a bit unfortunate for the actor, I guess, but never mind. So he's revealed and he's black, which goes against the comic origin, because Black Noir is actually I guess not a failed clone, but a clone of Homelander, which is a shame because that has implications for well, everything's up in the air now. They're changing a lot of the comic origin. They've changed a lot anyway, but that's quite a big change. So it'll be interesting to see. I don't think that they'll do the whole clone thing anymore, which is a shame because that could have been quite fun to explore. But I guess it doesn't quite fit the narrative, maybe. What can you do with that? I guess you could rope it into, like, genetic modification, but no one's talking about that these days, are they? So, I guess not really worth doing. But shame, because that could have been quite fun. And then Starlight is kidnapped, is returned, breaks free, Lamplighter kills himself, Huey hacks off his arm, and Huey is actually a real pain in the ass now. I don't like his character. He's really grating on me. Out of all the characters, he's just a whiny little bitch. But I always think to myself with these characters, so before you think I'm just mindlessly hating, characters change. Characters change and adjust. He's been through a lot. You'd think it would make him stronger. But he's still a whiny little bitch. He sat there inside a whale, a dead whale, but he's crying about hacking some dead guy's hand off. What are you doing? Like, get a grip, mate. Seriously. Get a grip. You sat next to the beating heart of a whale, and it didn't faze you. Hacking some dead guy's hand off, you should be fine with. This is what annoys me when these things happen. So that was a bit annoying. And then there was a pointless Butcher and his parents situation, and the guy who they got to play his father was an Australian. Worst British accent I've heard it in a while. His mother is a British actress. That was fine, but you can actually hear the Australian coming through in that supposed British accent. Just get a Brit to play. Like, seriously, there's enough English actors out there. If you can't get people to do an English accent, get an actual English actor to do it. You know, we say that only gay people can play gay characters now, and trans people can only play trans characters. So, fucking only Brits can play Brits. Logic, I guess. And then from there, here's one of the major plot holes. Right, we know that Stormfront is basically Vought, right? Why didn't she know Homelander had a son? Why didn't she know that Homelander had a son? She would have known. Unless they're going to reveal it that she knew all along anyway. But I think they'll glaze over that. She would know that he had a son. Absolutely. She knows about everything. She literally knows everything. She was running a secret lab, for God's sake. So that annoyed me a lot, actually. I thought that was super lame. And then Homelander and Stormfront took whatever his name is, idiot little child. The actor annoys me. He's just an irritating character. Took him off, and then that was it. There's nothing else there. That was the end of the episode, basically. Be interesting to see how it progresses. But, yeah. They've lost a lot of the humour and the satire in this. It started to lose the balance. So anyway, like I said, I'm not ignorant to it. And this review is only delayed. Well, it's not even really delayed. I normally release them on Saturday or Sunday. So let me know your thoughts down below. Is it going woke? Let me know down below. If you're new here, do hit subscribe. Stay up to date on the world of pop culture movie news by hitting the bell notification icon. Thank you all so much. Take care.